to have you focus for just a second on the 4 core concepts of Life Unlimited that we've been speaking about for months and have come now to the culmination and training of that, which is the culture of Zija. Those 4 core pillars, as Ryan would put it, 4 core concepts, deal with nutrition, personal development, active lifestyle, all of the things that are important that you want to focus on here at Zija. I would like you to choose today, just right now, for the sake of this little discussion, one of those 4: personal development, active lifestyle, financial freedom, or nutrition. Focus on one of those. I'd like you to write it down if you can, whichever one right now inspires you the most. It is your personal focus of the 4. There's a little training in that. Everybody we talk to, everybody we meet, will focus on one of those by their very nature. Some will find the nutrition of moringa is the most exciting part of what we do. Others will have, of those 4, maybe financial freedom will be the most important. Whichever one it is for you, just write that down. This is my focus. This is what inspires me right now of those 4 concepts most. And write that down. Now I'd like you to reflect back for a second to your journey, however long it's been, whether it's been a week or a month or a year or 2 years, or some of you here in the room with me have been here 6 years since we launched in 2006. I'd like you to focus on your journey, if you don't mind, just for a moment. And remember what it has taken to get where you are today, and reflect on the fact that there are people here who are younger than you in the business, and people here that have been here 6 years and have achieved great successes. And I want you to think about what that journey is while I introduce you to somebody who I think inspires us, or maybe could be a lesson for that. Because a journey by its very nature, if you consider it as a journey by car, for example, means you will be traveling on roads with bumps and turns and hills and valleys. And it will have variation that is interesting and challenging and rewarding all in one thing. If I can have them go to my presentation, I'd like to go through and introduce you to somebody now whose name is Felix Baumgartner. Does anybody know, just by show of hands, who Felix Baumgartner is? What an amazing story, Felix Baumgartner. He is called Fearless Felix. Okay? Fearless Felix from Austria just recently set the record for the highest skydive in history. How many of you had a chance, by a show of hands, to visit our facilities down by our corporate office? If you were to travel from this position right now to our new manufacturing building, you would travel the exact same distance that this gentleman fell in this skydive. 24 miles. 24 miles. Consider it, falling for 24 miles. This was his dream. This was his passion. It was not his first experience like this. That's why they call him Fearless Felix. This guy strapped on a Toy Story wing to his back and glided across the English Channel about 5 years ago. This guy has jumped off buildings large and small, bridges large and small. He's known for what he does. But this is his greatest feat, falling for 24 miles. During his flight, he fell at speeds over 800 miles an hour. Can you consider that for a second? That is Mach 1.2. Jets that fly at Mach 1.2 require a hard outer skin to protect their occupants. This guy jumped in a suit made of foil with a helmet. This project that he did, this life, and it's not his last experience, it's his current last experience. Okay? It's an important point here. He flew at 830 miles an hour, Mach 1.2. During his tumble, let's talk first about his experience getting there. Jumps into a vehicle, a pod, if you will. And by the way, if you're following this story here, you should see some things that apply to your business, your journey at Zija, right? He jumped into a vehicle. That vehicle was specially prepared and capable to take him 24 miles out into outer space, literally into outer space. very similar to Zija. He jumped into that. There had to be some fuel for him to be able to get from the Earth's crust, leaving the ground, out to outer space. Basically, he trusted his life to a scientifically engineered Ziploc bag. And as he continued to go up into the air, that flight to get up to the height from which he jumped took 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours. The patience that he was required to have in that closed cell that he was in, inside of that pod, that capsule, must have been incredible. But look at the view that he had while he was rising up to that height. Now, while we consider that view and that journey for him, it took 5 years to plan and execute his latest goal, his latest achievement. 5 years. I find that interesting. Zija has been around a little bit over 5 years. We've been around 6 years. It took him 5 years to plan and execute that with an amazing team of people. Another analogy. 5 years, if you consider it, at 52 weeks a year, at 8 hours a day, which I would say is a minimum. Nobody does anything they're passionate about for only 8 hours a day. These guys work nonstop for 5 years. Would be the equivalent of over 625,000 hours. He fell for 5 minutes. His brilliant moment of glory was about the equivalent of 1/100,000th of the time he spent to get there. Some of you spent a brief moment on stage. I hope that your brief moment on stage that you've spent up till now, or that you might spend as a diamond or higher tonight at our diamond celebration, inspires you. It should be worth the trip. 1/100,000th of the overall time it took to get there. But look at the view he had when he was at the top before he jumped out. And consider, first of all, whether or not you have the guts to jump out at 24,000 or 24 miles above the Earth's surface. I think I might have just backed back into that cell and phoned it in, I'm thinking. That's incredible. It takes courage. It will take courage to get to where you want to go, without a question. Then's the jump. Think about this last moment. There's no turning back. There is no turning back at this point. It's cutting the apron strings and jumping. How many of you have gotten to the point in your Zija path, in your Zija journey, where you have cut the apron strings, you have burned the boats in the harbor, and you have said to yourself and verbalized it to your teammates above and beneath and to the side of you that I am in. I am all in, and I am never, ever, ever going back. Have you received that? Have you made that commitment? Just a few short moments after Felix jumped out of his capsule, he accelerated past 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 miles an hour. And that's where some of the trouble started. At some point about here, he started to twist and rotate in his flight. One of the most dangerous things they had anticipated, and one that requires the utmost skill for him to overcome. He had trained and trained and trained. He had people on the earth, in a group, in a supportive system to help him see where he was at, understand what was happening, and make the adjustments necessary to achieve his success. At the speeds he was going, if he twisted too far, twisted too fast, twisted with one limb out the wrong direction, he literally could have been torn to pieces. Something to be learned there. Requires a team to support you. As he got into more close to the Earth's atmosphere and began to feel the warmth of the sun, he began to fly and guide his own path a little bit more. As the friction from the heavy oxygen in the air was more present, he began to steer his own destiny a little bit more. And here's where he experienced the most joy in his experience. He wasn't freezing to death anymore, because it was very, very cold up at the altitude. the experience of freedom that he had. Freedom is precious. I don't care which country you have come from to join us here today. You are part of the Zija Nation. And in the Zija Nation, you are free to decide what your destination is. You are free to decide, make your own choice, the system, the company, the products, the technology, the website, the leadership, every single piece is in place. If you desire to jump from 24 miles from the Earth's crust, so be it. That is your choice. You can choose whatever it is you want. I love this site and the next slide as well. This has to be the culmination, a feeling of relief. You're in the parachute. You're being safely lowered to the earth now. You've achieved your greatest goal to date. And you've enjoyed the experience, the relief, every sense at its highest. And then, best of all, the feeling of gratitude, of thankfulness, attributing your successes to others, and being grateful for what you've been given in this life. I believe this is the message of Zija. To have life unlimited, to rise whatever height you would like to rise to enjoy the experience of the journey, to understand that you're going to be cold, you're going to be afraid, you're going to be exhilarated, you're going to be warm again, you're going to be grateful. Every step along the way, people in the system with you, working with you on your team, are supporting you because, in truth, there are tens of thousands of Felixes here in Zija. Is that not true? Give yourselves a round of applause. My greatest hope for each of you, my greatest hope for us as a company, is that we experience these things, that we understand, that we learn from what we've had, that we've gone through, from our journey. Now, as you look back at that, as a general focus in Zija, we are a nutrition weight management company. That's our general focus. Is that not true? We've had tremendous success with weight management. I'd like each of you to stand if you personally or know somebody who has lost, that you've given products to, or was a customer of yours, have lost at least 5 pounds. Please stand. Look around. Zija Nation is powerful. Powerful. Give yourselves a round of applause. Stay standing. Let's make this personal now for the group here in the room. If you have personally lost at least 10 pounds, remain standing and give yourselves a round of applause. If you have personally